Hello and welcome to Pine-Richland Middle School. I'm Dave Christophic, the principal, and begins my 11th year at Pine-Richland Middle School. I'm very proud to say that we are an accomplished school district. Mr. Menzinger, my assistant principal, will be navigating our slides here today. So he's going to flip to our next slide. This is for our new families. We are very fortunate to have earned for the fourth time our Don Eichhorn School Schools to Watch Award, and it runs for 3 years. We've earned this award 4 separate times, and it's very challenging to earn the award. They're looking at 4 categories: academic excellence, developmental responsiveness, social equity, and organizational structures. And so we're very fortunate. As you can see in the picture, Mr. Menzinger and I got to represent Pine-Richland Middle School at our nation's capital and share some of the things that are happening here. So we're really proud to say that we're providing quality programming, and we are learning in this new virtual world as well. So we're constantly making changes and being responsive to our needs. So we have many people with us here today. I'm going to make some introductions. Mr. Menzinger, if you could say a few words about yourself.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Menzinger, and I'm the assistant principal, as Dr. Christophic said. I will point out that picture in the last slide was pre-social distancing from not this past summer, but from 2 summers ago. And a lot has changed since then. So I have the great pleasure of introducing the illustrious Mrs. Millay, one of our school counselors.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Millay, and I am the school counselor for students who have last names beginning with A through K. And I'm proud to be part of the Richland family. I'm very excited to meet all of the new families entering here. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. And a couple fun facts: I'm a mom of 2 great kids, and I'm a musician, and I love just being outdoors and doing hiking and walking, things like that. And I'm very excited to welcome our new addition to the school counseling office, Mr. Michael Rose.
Hello, everyone. As Ms. Millay introduced, my name is Michael Rose, and this is going to be my 8th year as a school counselor. I'm originally from this area, but I moved out to Central PA and was a school counselor out there for the last 7 years. So I'm excited to be a part of the Pine-Richland team. For the new families, excited to learn what Pine-Richland is about and to help you navigate that as well. So feel free to reach out to me. If I don't know the answer to your question, I'll certainly find out for you. Not a problem. So I'm looking forward to working with you and working with the team. And I'm going to be introducing Ms. Welshantz, our social worker.
Hi, Pine-Richland Middle School families and students. I'm Mrs. Welshantz, Pine-Richland's school social worker. I'm here to help students and families find resources both inside the school as well as outside of the school through our student assistance program, which is also known as SAP. So if you should need anything at all, please feel free to reach out. And now I have the pleasure of introducing you to our school nurse, Mrs. Halliday.
Hi, everyone. I am Karen Halliday. I'm the nurse here at the middle school. I've been here for a long time, over 20 years, and I've loved every single minute of it. Met so many wonderful families. I look forward to meeting all of you. As you can see on this slide, there's my contact information. Please feel free to reach out if you have any issues or concerns. Thank you. Now back to you, Dr. Christophic.
Thank you. Today we'll be covering a variety of topics, and you'll see them listed here on the screen. We will have many communications coming from the district. I know it can be overwhelming, and so we'll try to hit the main topics here today just to give you an overview of the middle school and what to expect here in the fall. As we prepare for the transition, our first day of school is set for September 1st. This year is unlike any other. We will be bringing half of our students on the first day. Students with last names A through K will become on A day, and on our B days, L through Z. This year, we are planning a Meet the Teacher Parent Night, which will be virtual, something like we are planning here today, and they will be conducted by each one of our academic teams. Mr. Menzinger will share some information about the summer notifications.
Yeah, so it's hard to believe, but summer as we know it is coming to a close. And so there's a few things that we want to make sure you know about as we enter into the school year. So the first is a welcome letter that's going to come from Dr. Kristofik and myself. It'll be sent out in our e-news blast this Friday. And in that, it's going to have a lot of details about procedures for coming to school, some of which we'll cover here in this presentation, but others will be new information and more detailed information than what we share now. Also, this Friday, you will get access to your child's schedule for the year, which will include their team assignment, whether that's 7A, 7B, or 7C. And all of that information will be made available through our new student information system, which is called Sapphire. And the way that you'll access that is through the community web portal. In the past, we've had families update a demographic sheet. This year, because we've switched to a new system, that sheet is automatically built into your registration. So if you have not had a chance to do that yet, please do so, because without doing that, you will not have access to your child's schedule when it's released on Friday. In that community web portal, you will also get information about buses and what bus your child is riding and where that pickup and drop-off location will be. And as Dr. Kristofik said, you will continue to see announcements, especially in the midst of our planning for opening a school year that will be unique in how we open it, with new health regulations and procedures in place. And finally, just so that you're aware, our school hours will run from 7:45 when our first period / homeroom starts, and will end at 2:36 when we dismiss kids at our dismissal time. And so one other piece of information we want to share with you is that there will be a time set aside for you to come to the building after you have your child's schedule. You'll be able to walk the schedule of the building, and you'll be able to pick up materials outside of each teacher's classroom. And our goal with this is to make sure that before the first day of school, you have all of the materials your child will need to be successful when that first day starts, whether it's going to be virtual or whether it's going to be in person. And so next, I'm going to throw it to Mrs. Halliday for some very important medical updates.
Thank you, Mr. Minsinger. Once again, I am pleased to have this opportunity to speak to you. I just wanted to briefly touch on a few items that pertain to the health office in case you would have questions. Moving in from another district, I wanted to review our medication policy. The district's policy is that all medications, including those such as cough drops, over-the-counter medications, ibuprofen and Tylenol, do require a physician's order. So you see there's a link to the Health Services Department. That is on our district website. You could just click on this link and you will find every form that I'm going to be speaking about today. So there you'll find the medication form, which would need completed by a physician. And then also a parent must sign the bottom of that form. All medications are to be brought in by an adult. And we do give the children the opportunity at the middle school to carry their inhalers and epinephrine devices. So there is a second form required for that. That is only for you as a parent to sign and your child signs. Then you bring that form in with you, and I will review with your child that they can just walk through the steps of how to administer the EpiPen or the inhaler. I also like to speak to them and remind them that if they've used their inhaler and they're not feeling any better, to please come and see me so I could maybe listen to their lungs and we could see if they're having additional issues. Same with if they might need an epinephrine device. If they feel they need an EpiPen or an AubiQ, they should tell the adult in the classroom, who will contact me. I'll come down to where they are, and then I will help them administer that. We'll definitely call 911, and we will call you, of course. So one other thing I wanted to say about carrying medications is on our medication form, the physician must check the box that says the student may carry this medication. So please call if you have any questions regarding that. As far as illness and injury, our district policy has always been that if your child has a temperature of 100 degrees, they must be sent home. So we do send them home for that. We will ask that they are fever-free without medications such as ibuprofen or Tylenol 24 hours prior to returning to school. And also say if your child was prescribed an antibiotic, we do ask that they are on that antibiotic 24 hours prior to returning to school. Feel free again, once again, to just call with any questions. As far as immunization records, I can safely say that you guys are on the ball. I have not had to request many immunizations, and if I have, you've readily gotten them to me. So what is required for 7th grade and also the middle school is the TDAP, which is the tetanus with the pertussis, and the meningitis vaccine. But if I have reached out to you, then you know there's an issue. But other than that, if you haven't heard from me, no worries. A couple general reminders. There is a dental form that is required for 7th grade. That would be due on December 1st this year. We are extending that deadline. If it can be done 1 year prior to the start of school. So school starts September 1st of 2020. You can go back to September 1st of 2019. So if you haven't found a new dentist yet, feel free to contact your previous dentist, whether it be out of state or in the area. And if they wanted to fax me just a note stating when the last dental cleaning was, and it fits within that time period, that'd be great. Our middle school fax number is 724-625-3144. Also wanted to talk a little bit about sports physicals. Something new this year is that they are totally electronic. They are done completely through the athletic office. You would go to the district website, Pine-Richland.org, and click on athletics, and then there you could walk through the steps for utilizing the sports physical. I did want to tell you, if your child's playing a spring sport and you want to complete this sports physical now, your child might have a well visit coming up, then that is good all the way through the rest of the year. So if they're playing track or doing track in the spring, having that physical done in September, they can still use that in the spring. So feel free, once again, my information was on the previous slide. Contact me if you need anything. And it was great speaking with you. Back to you, Mr. Minsinger.
Thank you, Mrs. Halliday. So moving from our health information, we wanted to provide you with some transition tips because regardless of any kind of global pandemic, we know that moving from elementary to middle school can have its pitfalls and its challenges. And so one of the things we encourage families to do is to talk about those differences. Talk about the differences between an elementary school setting where things are a little bit more self-contained to a middle school setting where there are a lot more teachers, and talk to them a little bit about what it means to be on a team where you're around a certain group of kids throughout your day. The other thing we talk about at middle school is giving your children more responsibilities for making decisions about their own education and being able to make decisions about how they organize themselves. That's something we start to gradually give over to our kids as they get older so that they're prepared for high school and beyond. Having said that, though, it is always good to have structure. And so it's important to supplement schoolwork with additional reading and writing tasks and projects at home, just to give kids something steady to work on, to really have that placeholder in their mind, knowing that school hours might end at 2:36, but school work doesn't necessarily end at that time. It's also important to talk to them about the fun that kind of comes from getting to know a core group of teachers that are on a team and having classes that are in separate subject areas. And then finally, it's also important to help your child understand that students have to adapt to different teachers. Teachers teach in different ways, and that's something that your child will experience from here on out. And having them get used to those different styles and really figuring out what styles work for them are all very helpful things as they begin their middle school experience. And so Dr. Kristofik is going to talk a little bit more about some updates for this school year in particular.
So I wanted to show you what our mask looks like when we come to school. When we start school, all students should wear a mask. We will provide mask breaks. And so while I'm in my office, I am able to take my mask off. It's safe to do so. And we will provide those types of opportunities for students as well. And our anticipation is to take students outside, weather permitting, and take large distances between each student and give them an opportunity to remove those masks. Those are something that If you're not practicing now wearing your mask for periods of time, I would recommend that you do so. There's a lot of probably questions that may come here. We do have a question and answer session document on our website for families, but for students enter our classrooms, there will be hand sanitizing stations that students are able and expected to use when they enter and leave each classroom. Students will be permitted to go to their lockers. Those lockers, if you have an odd number locker, and we will allow students to go to the locker at the end of each odd period. So first period, odd number lockers students could go to, and on even periods, they could go to the lockers. We're attempting to separate students a little bit. That'll take some more planning on our students' behalf, where they're used to going to the locker every period, but they'll be able to go every other. Mr. Menzinger will share some other first day school topics with you now.
So our first day of school this year, as we've been encouraging parents to drop off their kids as much as possible, we've made some adjustments. So in every other year, students would be able to be dropped off at the front door, but because of our expectedly larger volume of families dropping their kids off, we split that by grade level. So our 7th grade students will still be dropped off at the front door right underneath where the middle school sign is. And 8th grade students, we are asking to be dropped off in the side parking lot of the building. If you are a parent who might have an 8th and a 7th grader, please note that you can pick whichever line is a little bit more accessible to the building and it's a little bit more convenient for you. We know that first day of school, and especially this week, this year, the first week of school, is going to come with some added stressors and learning procedures like Dr. Kristofik was just talking about. And so we want to ensure you that extra time is going to be provided for things like assistance with lockers, making sure that kids know how to navigate from class to class. And so please know, and you can communicate this to your child, we are very flexible and want to make sure that your child really learns and understands how to navigate the building. And so we will give and afford that time as is needed, especially in our first days as we get used to this new school environment. One of the other things that is new to us this year is the layout of our schedule because of our new student information system called Sapphire. So you'll see a sample student schedule on this slide here, and I'll go over a couple things with you of what to look for. So you'll see at the beginning of the day, there is an academic support period that starts with, your student's day off with a chance to check in with their teachers. If your child has band, orchestra, or chorus, they are also going to have that in this spot instead of an academic support slot. And then you'll see the rest of the day follows through with some of the core classes mixed in with what you'll see. Third period is a combination of world language exploratory classes along with physical education, followed by, in this case, this student will have their unified arts courses. And in each of these blocks, you can see that they tell you which quarter your child will have these courses. So for example, in 4th period, your child will have FCS quarter 1, if this is your child's schedule. Then they'll move to computer applications for quarter 2, design and modeling for quarter 3, and art for quarter 4. This student schedule also has lunch, 6th period, and then continues with the rest of the academic classes for the rest of the day. The thing I do want to point your attention to that will be very different this year has to do with this 3rd period schedule, at least for this student's classes. We separate the middle school schedule on an A and a B rotation, and that has always been how it is. However, in planning for our hybrid model, we found that rotating by days is not going to be the best way to go about rotating these. So, because then some students might not have PE, for example, in person. And so instead of rotating by days, we are going to rotate our A and B schedule by week. So for example, the first week of school is going to be an A week, which means that this student is only going to have world language Spanish during the first week of school. And then we will rotate, and the second week is going to be a B week. So in the second week, this student is going to have physical education every day. Then we'll rotate back to having Spanish and then back to PE. And so that's something that will be new this year, and we will be working with your child as they come to school to know which day or which week we are in, but that is something we wanted to make a note of as we enter into this school year. And so I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Kristofik for a little bit more information about how the building operates.
I'd like to talk about our building discipline, and I can share with you we have an excellent school environment, and we focus on positive referrals you see at the bottom of this slide, and our Rams Way program. Mrs. Millay will describe that in a little bit, but wanted to cover a few things with you. We are any discipline situations that would occur, we try to teach our students what appropriate behavior is, and we're fair with them. We work through each situation. We are consistent. We try to be more proactive, and so that we don't have the situations. Our teachers are very good about noticing expected behavior, and they recognize that and share that information with our students. It is a great place to be. There are a few questions that we usually get about dress code and those topics. So one of the things that we like to remind students of is we want our pants to be pulled up so that they're not sagging and undergarments showing. We also like for our shorts and skirts and dresses to be fingertip length. So we ask that you buy Bermuda shorts. Those seem to be the best way to have long enough shorts for our dress code. And then we are a school that does not have cell phones. We don't use it. You can bring your cell phones to school so you can communicate with your parents here at the end of the day. But we ask that our students do not have their cell phones on them during the day. There is a free phone in the front of the building that students can use, and we encourage them to use. And if there's any need for communication, you can call the front office, and our secretaries will get that information to your child. So we do not have our students out with their phones. There's a lot of things that students in middle school aren't ready for when you do have phones, and we want to make sure we're teaching proper use and how to use electronic devices. And so as we go through this virtual model, we'll be learning these skills naturally, but we still do not have our cell phones within our school. There's three big things that we really don't have a problem with at the middle school, but we do address them very seriously, and those are bullying, fighting, and any drugs and or alcohol. I don't anticipate to have many problems in these areas, as we typically do not. Positive referrals is a great way for students to be noticed, and that's one of the most enjoyable things that I get to do is when I receive a positive referral from a teacher on a student. I call them to the office, and they're always obviously nervous when they come to the office, and then I share with them one of the great things that they did, usually for another student or for a teacher. And then I get to follow that up with a parent phone call, and that's always interesting, because when I say, hey, this is Dave Kristofik, people usually become quiet, and then I say it's for a positive call. And so that's always fun for me to share the great news of the good deeds that our students do. So we don't have those happen every single day, but we do have them happen every week, and we have a very strong positive environment at the middle school. We look forward to working with you. Mr. Menzinger has been working with Mrs. Millay on our Rams Way program, and she's going to describe that at this time.
Thank you. Yes, Rams Way is the title of our school-wide positive behavior interventions and supports program. And the goal of this program is to have all students demonstrating respectfulness, accountability, motivation, and safe behaviors. We will kick off our Rams Way program early this fall, and the beginning lessons will focus on the expectations and rules for our hallway and cafeteria. Students will receive lessons at a common time and learn the expected behaviors for both of these spaces. Staff then reward students with a Ramsway ticket when the positive behaviors are displayed. Students will take their Ramsway ticket and post it on our Ramsway board, which is located in the cafeteria. And this provides opportunities for students to win lots of different prizes throughout the year, and they love it. So not only does the Ramsway program encourage positive behaviors and add some fun to our day, but it also helps us collect data. We keep track of who gets the tickets, who's administering the tickets, the reason for the ticket distribution. And this data helps us determine what is working and where adjustments need to be made to make sure we have good lessons for our students throughout the year. So we're very excited for your children to participate in this program.
All right, and then a couple things as we enter the last part of this presentation that are sort of odds and ends that are important to know. The first has to do with absences. So we are asking for a written or electronic note within 5 days of an absence. That can either be turned into the office, or it can be emailed to Mrs. Kladowski, our secretary, or submitted through Sapphire, the community web portal. It's also important to note that after 10 days of being absent, a medical excuse is needed to be turned in if your child continues to be absent beyond that point. For early dismissals, we also require a written or electronic note turned into the office at the beginning of the day. So the best time to do this is as your child comes into school, remind them if you're dropping them off or sending them off on the bus to come straight to the office to drop those notes off. Or again, another way to do it to kind of keep it a paperless process is to just email Mrs. Kladowski or submit it through Sapphire. This year, our early dismissal procedures are a little different. We're trying to keep as many people who are not normally in the building out of the building as much as possible. And so secretaries will walk your student to the door whenever it is time for their early dismissal. And so all you'll have to do is just come to the front door, ring the buzzer, let secretaries know that you're here, and they'll walk your child out. Another change this year has to do with bus passes. So because of the duties we have to follow with possibility of contact tracing in the midst of the coronavirus, we are not going to be issuing bus passes and switching buses. A lot of that will have to do with the restrictions of assigned seats on buses, just to make sure that we're keeping kids around as few kids as possible. And then another new procedure this year has to do with dropping off materials. So say your child forgot their textbook or their lunch, there's going to be a table that's in the vestibule where we will ask you to drop those materials off instead of coming into the office. And so again, what you'll do is just ring the buzzer, let the secretaries know that you're here to drop off a textbook for your child. Please make sure that somewhere on that item, your child's name is written on there so that our secretaries can take that and make sure it gets to your child as quickly as possible.
So just a few more odds and ends. We spoke about buses. We do use the bus lane in the back. We call it the Yellow Brick Road. Our students get dropped off in the back end of between the high school and the middle school. And the students exit the bus and they walk up the Yellow Brick Road to the school. We will use two entrances for students entering the building to keep that physical distancing. I spoke about lockers earlier. As you see on the screen, we do have student planners. Our theme for this year is Dare to Dream, and those are the front and back covers of our student planners. Within the student planners, are a very important tool for our students as they have 8 different teachers throughout the day is to learning to write in them and put their assignments, and our teachers will walk through with all of our students on how to use this tool and to help them be more successful. Makeup work, if you're absent or sick, if you're sick one day, you have an additional day to work that up, do your makeup work when you come back to school. So if you miss 3 days, 3 days of makeup time. So it's a real simple process. We will hopefully do some tutoring. We have to work through this with the high school students, but we hope to be able to do that virtually. We do provide a free tutoring program that occurs on Wednesday. It happened in our library traditionally. This year, we hope to be able to offer the same thing virtually. So we'll work through some of those details. We have a students assistance program for any students that are having any difficulty at home or in school with dropping grades, change of behavior, maybe a death in the family, anything like that. We have a special program with teachers from each team, including our Mr. Menziger and our guidance counselors as well, and we provide services for our students and families. Our activity fee for this year is a one-time fee. It is $100, and I'll share with you some of the opportunities here on the next slide of what we have as far as athletics. Those things that are listed here are all the great opportunities that we have for our students. Our teams are competitive. We do the best we can not to cut at all, but there are times in which we are required to. It just depends upon how many students come out for these sports. So some of the things that we have, like our girls volleyball team has had a large number of people try out, and unfortunately we've had to limit the number there a little bit. Depends on the year. Some years we do not have to. Our football team and cross country and soccer have not had to have any cuts here in the fall. And then with all the things you see in the winter and spring. So those are a lot of great opportunities that students now get to represent their school for the very first time. So we encourage you to try new things. We have field hockey and all the things with asterisks aren't approved by the WIPIO, but they're club sports that are offered here. We also have other things besides sports, a lot of extracurricular activities. I would highlight a few of them. Here is our drama club we have between 80 and 100 students traditionally participate in that club, and they offer some really nice shows for our community. We have many other things. Forensics happens at the high school, and our students walk over there. We have intramurals, jazz band, leaders club, which is a great opportunity, a school newspaper. Every day we have a PRTV, and they get to do morning announcements and special infomercials, and we'll be using them a lot this year to get information out to our students. So I encourage all of our students to get involved as much as they can. These are all new opportunities that they have not had to participate in before. Communication, we send out usually a Friday communication through PR e-news with Mrs. Gruber. She sends that out on Friday. We will continue to do that and have even more information than we have before. We use Blackboard, and that's a good place to receive information about classes and from your teachers. Some teachers will be using Google Classroom as well, and so the teachers have those two options. Hopefully you've finished the community portal for Sapphire, and we have two important nights here that occur. Those both will be virtual this year, and that's Meet the Teacher September 10th, and then parent-teacher conferences will be on the 2nd and 3rd. So we look forward to working together with you as we conclude our presentation here today. These are the 6 topics that we think are most important for our students, and these skills will be built through their 7th and 8th grade year. Obviously, academic achievement is our most important thing, in my opinion. Their self-esteem, you'll see it change drastically from 7th to end of 8th grade year. They'll be making good decisions and building new relationships because they're not stuck within their own teams. Now they'll have a larger group of people they're working with, new clubs and activities. With those greater responsibility, opportunities becomes greater responsibility. And one of the things that we probably all of us need to be most notable on this slide here is flexibility and adaptability. So those are the things that we're going to focus on working together. Mr. Menziger and I have a complete open door policy. If you have questions or concerns, we would ask you at any point to email us, to call us, and we'll get back to you just to follow up. We welcome you to the middle school, and we look forward to working with you this year. The last slide has some helpful links that you may be, if you want to learn a little bit more about us, if you click on these links, you can see our student handbook, code of conduct, program of studies, the classes that we offer, and then our virtual move-up day that we held for students earlier this past year. So you could take a look at anything there. Again, welcome to Pine-Richland Middle School. Let's have a great year.